United stand, Jadon Sancho returning to Manchester United in the summer. It's not looking good after what Enzo Maresca has said about Jadon Sancho. It's not exactly what he said, it's the way he said it. Can you read into that? And are Manchester United going to have a situation where they have to find another club for Jadon Sancho in the summer? Also, a big update on the keeper situation. Trafford, who has been linked to Manchester United multiple times before, Manchester United very interested in signing him. We know that Amorim wants a new keeper. Would Trafford be the keeper that you want to bring in? I have my thoughts to say on that and the update on a potential bid for him. And Fabrizio Romano's come out and said that Manchester United have compiled a list of 4 to 5 strikers based on budget and affordability in the summer. I think that is massively going to rest on whether we win the Europa League and whether we have that money coming in from the Champions League and winning that competition. I've put a list together that I think is the list that Manchester United have. I'm going to say why I would or would not want them players, so I'll get into that towards the end as well. And also a lot of Elanga revisionism today. I know Golby spoke about it on the morning show. I'm not going to go into it too deeply. I wish Elanga all of the best for the future, but he didn't score a goal in his last 17 months at Manchester United. He didn't necessarily have the opportunity to go and develop the way he has, like he has at Forest. And I think we need to stop looking back in the past and look towards the future. I don't think it's the fact that we shouldn't have let Elanga go. We probably should have got more money for him, but it's why haven't we got players in that are better than him? Elanga, he's gone on, he's done well, but we're in a situation where we've over-promoted players that aren't yet ready, and we don't have the senior players that are there to go and perform week in, week out. You know, say if a Man City or a Liverpool had sold Elanga to Forest, no one would be sat there saying, oh, why did they do that? Why did they go and sell Anthony Elanga? Because they have the likes of a Salah, they have the likes of, a Hal, and they have the players that are going to go out there and perform week in, week out. United don't have that, which is why you're looking back and saying, why did we sell Elanga? Wish him all the best though, and he does look like he is a very good player at Forest, and wish him the best. But let's get into the Jadon Sancho stuff. Enzo Maresca, get your comments in down below, by the way. Get your thoughts in, get your opinions in, get interactive. Enzo Maresca on signing Jadon Sancho on a permanent deal or not. I love all the players who are part of this squad. For sure, in terms of numbers, he could do better, no doubt. Full focus now is to finish well and not think about next season. What happens in the summer, we will see. I am happy with all of the players we have. Very diplomatic there from Enzo Maresca. I'm going to be straight up honest and say, if I'm Chelsea manager, and I'm not, probably a good thing for Chelsea, but if I'm Chelsea manager and I've got a player that I really like and I really want to sign in the summer, and I know we can sign him, it's an obligation to buy. If they come above 14th in the league, they have an obligation to buy Jadon Sancho for £25 million. Bear in mind, we bought Jadon Sancho for around 73 million, I think it was. So you're getting, if you just look at book value, you're getting a very good price for him. If I'm a manager and I'm like, yes, I'm so excited to sign this player in the summer, £25 million, it's a bargain, he starts every week for me, he's a good player, I really want him. I won't be there saying, let's see what happens in the summer. It was a very diplomatic answer, and I might be reading too much into this, but if I really wanted a player, I'd be a lot more confident in my answer in that, and I'd be a lot more assured. We have an obligation to buy for Jadon Sancho. That's what we intend to do. That's where I would be at. There'd be contract negotiations already going on with Jadon Sancho. They've not even started contract negotiations with Jadon Sancho yet, and we're getting towards that time of the season. I mean, Chelsea, it's not as if Chelsea are just kind of waiting. They've already signed Giovanni Conda. They've done that already. This is a time of the season where you are looking for targets in the summer. You should already have your target list drawn up, really. You should be looking at contracts for the summer. But all the signs coming out of Chelsea is like, they're not really sure. And I think not really sure means they aren't going to sign him. I think they're going to pay the £5 million and send him back, because we keep hearing from the likes of Fabrizio Romano, who will have been briefed by the club, that Manchester United don't want Sancho back and Chelsea still intend to do the obligation to buy. Obviously, you're going to say that. You're not going to say midway through a season when you've still got games left to play and Jadon Sancho's still at the club, oh yeah, by the way, we're intending on sending him back for £5 million. Yeah, we're not really interested. They're not going to do that. They're not going to upset the apple cart. But that answer from Enzo Maresca, I mean, he's right in terms of numbers, he could do better. I think overall performance, he could do better, to be honest with you. But he says what happens in the summer, we will see. I'm happy with all of the players. Not really specifying about Jadon Sancho. He should be there saying Jadon's done really well, he's settling into Chelsea well, he's a great part of our squad. And when we got him on loan, we put an obligation in there for a reason. We do intend to buy this player and he will be a Chelsea player in the summer. Surely them conversations will have happened. We'll see what happens in the summer. To me, sounds like we're not too sure. And we depending on finances, if they can afford it, they probably will send him back rather than paying the 25 million. And if they don't pay the 25 million, if they would actually rather pay the 5 than pay the 25, I mean, it's massively humbling for Jadon Sancho, but where do we go next from that? I personally think he'll end up going back to Dortmund. Dortmund have expressed a little bit of interest in him again. There'll probably be some murmurs behind the scenes between clubs, and I think there's no way he comes back to Manchester United. Ricky, I'm sorry, there's no way he comes back. There's absolutely no chance. Ruben Amorim's made it clear. Even players that are actually doing really well, because, by the way, Rashford and Antony are both doing better than Jadon Sancho, both of them. I mean, I think Antony's doing the best, to be honest. I know there's a lot of talk about Rashford, but I don't think he's really realistically over 90 minutes like lighting it up. Asensio's been the star guy at Villa. Antony's done super well. Rashford's done decently well. Sancho, in my opinion, hasn't done well at all. I don't think he impacts games and I don't think he plays that well for Chelsea when I watch him. So them two are doing the best, and Amorim's already kind of made it clear that he doesn't really want him back. He's spoken in press conferences saying these players have had chances at United. He spoke about Elanga in a post-match interview saying, good goal, but players have had chances at United and it's not worked out. We need to move on. Rashford won't be coming back. Antony won't be coming back despite how good he's doing, and Sancho won't be coming back either. The relationship with Manchester United is dead. It's finished. And you could hold out some sort of hope that if you're a Sancho FC that, oh, Amorim, you know, he might want him in that left-sided 10. He's not going to. The main thing Amorim looks at is behaviours, discipline, attitude. And Jadon Sancho doesn't tick any of them boxes. It's a reason why Rashford ended up going, not because of his talent, but because of things like behaviours off the pitch and what he was doing in training, his attitude around Manchester United, not because of his talent. So Sancho's not coming back, and for Rashford and Antony, I think they'll move on as well. But that's going to be an interesting one for Jadon Sancho in the summer, because from what Enzo Maresca's saying, I do think he's going to be on his way back for Manchester United, and hopefully United can benefit from that in the sense of we'll get the £5 million and then we'll sell him on for a decent-ish fee. If we get 25 million for him overall off somebody, that'd be a win. But is anyone going to pay? I think Dortmund would pay 20 million for him if they can afford. Someone will pay 20 million for him, I hope, and then we can bank that 5 million and you've got the fee that you wanted. But it'll make things it'll make things more complicated for Manchester United, because what it will do, and I'll come to your super chats in a second, is when Manchester United are going into the summer transfer window, and remember, you have that 10 days at the start of June, and then you have a break, and then the rest of the transfer window, it reopens again. Manchester United are relying on sales. We couldn't chase Kenda from Sporting because we've not sold anyone yet. We don't have any money. So Manchester United are relying on outgoings. We're relying on the 25 million from Sancho. We're relying on the fact that someone's going to buy Rashford. Villa might trigger the 40 million, they might not. Is somebody else going to? We're relying on the fact that hopefully we'll get some money in for Antony. Garnacho is going to go. Like, let's be honest. Like, look at the performance last night. That can't carry on. If there's someone willing to spend 50 million, 60 million on Garnacho, like, we're going to sell him for the money. But you might be waiting a while to negotiate with a team for Garnacho. You might be waiting a while. Rashford might dig his heels in and he might want to try and push for that Barcelona move, and he's entitled to do so. So you might be waiting a while for that money. Jadon Sancho was at least obligation to buy. End of the season, you're guaranteed that 25 million. They send him back, and you might be waiting again until the end of the transfer window with Jadon Sancho just lingering around Carrington. Does he go on the pre-season tour? And it's like you're waiting for someone to pay that money and negotiate with a club. It adds another thing onto Manchester United's summer checklist of what they need to do. And it's a situation where you just want him gone and you just want the money in, and we might be waiting for the sales of Rashford, Antony and Garnacho and now a Jadon Sancho, and that's not good when you're trying to plan a pre-season. You're trying to plan a serious situation where we've got a squad that we know are ready going into the next season, and you've got all these players hanging about that aren't going to be part of it, that you're waiting to go. And most importantly, you're waiting for that money to come in so you can spend on your new signings. You want the outgoings done as quickly as possible. And we could be in a situation where Garnacho is gone before Jadon Sancho, if Chelsea send him back, which hopefully they keep him because we just get that money in, but that could happen. A lot of talk coming in around Alejandro Garnacho, by the way, in the chat. Is anybody ready to say that, you know, I wasn't being harsh on my Garnacho comments recently, and that, you know, because I'll hold my hands up when I'm wrong. You know, Andre Onana is not the keeper for Manchester United in the future. I do believe that, and we'll bring the keeper thing in a second. But I think a lot of people come into the realisation that Alejandro Garnacho, although he's got potential, he has been over-promoted. And, you know, we should be in a situation where a player like Cunha is starting for United and Garnacho's coming on for 10, 20 minutes off the bench, and it's a humbling experience. He needs to pass to the senior players around him. There's Osimhen up front who is going to demand he passes to, or a Gyökeres or whoever it is, you know, an experienced striker. But instead we're in a situation where he's playing 90 minutes, even though he's played poorly the whole game. And you know, he's just putting his head down and shooting, and no one's kind of telling him for it. It shouldn't be the case. But, you know, Rashford was supposed to be that senior player. Mason Mount could have been the senior player, but injuries, and Rashford just didn't live up to what the expectation that we expected from him. And we've not done well at getting replacements in for these players. We've not recruited well, which is why we're in this situation. If we had Acuna, I would be happy for Garnacho to stay and kind of try and, you know, be that super sub off the bench and progress and develop, you know, because players at that age, they do need time to develop. They do need to be nurtured into the team. And look how long Foden was on and... I'm not comparing Garnacho to Foden. But look at how long Garnacho was on and off the bench. Sorry, not Garnacho. Foden was on and off the bench for Man City, but they had a world-class team. So, you know, Foden was just getting 10 minutes here and there, and people were calling for him to get more game time, but it probably did him good, like having that little pressure coming into the team and having them experienced players around him to develop him. And Garnacho hasn't got that. He's been over-promoted. Højlund's been over-promoted. And yeah, we're going to... The thing is, we're not in a situation money-wise where we can afford to keep someone for 10, 20 minutes off the bench next season and hope they progress. United don't have all the time in the world. We're not an Arsenal, we're not a Man City, we're not a Liverpool, we're not towards the top of the league. We're 13th. We're in trouble. We need to be competitive, and we don't have time to wait around and hope Garnacho turns into the player that we want him to be, even though he has got that potential. We're in a situation where we need players in now, and that's why if there is 50 million, 60 million on the table for Garnacho, I'd take 50 million for him. I'm accepting it, I'm getting the money in, and I'm investing it into someone like Acuna who is going to perform week in, week out. And I wish Garnacho all the best and hope he does well. And I reckon he will develop and do well elsewhere. And just like Elanga has, I wish him all the best. But right now, we need serious players in the starting 11. And we've just not got time to wait. We can't just have someone who scores against Leicester and that's it. The rest of the season, it's shots from anywhere, and you know, it's breaking up the attacking play in the final third. We need consistency week in, week out. Get in the comments down below, though, your thoughts on this. David McCarthy says, Onana or Cal the Dragon. George O'Hara says, if he was playing in this team, he would be doing the same as Garnacho, shooting on sight. Who are you talking about there? Ray S says 90 mil for Sancho and Garner, and then get Cunha and Trincao. That'd be fabulous. That'd be absolutely fabulous if we could do that. But I don't know where you're finding 90 million for Garnacho and Sancho. The max you're getting for Sancho, max is the 25 million from Chelsea. If they send him back, another club's probably going to offer 15, 20 maximum. Maximum you're talking. So say you get the 25 million. That you're banking on getting, don't let me do my maths here, you're banking on getting 65 mil for Garnacho. Maybe with add-ons, maybe, but I honestly think it's going to be a £50 million job for Garnacho. I don't see it being going up to 65, 70. In January, I was saying 65, 70 because it was midway through a season and you want it to be worth your while. If you are selling a young talent like that with the potential he's got, you want a big fee, especially in January. In the summer, I don't think you're going to get 65 mil. I think you'd be very lucky to get 60. Sean Buxani says, rather sell both Mainu than Garnacho. I think you mean both Mainu and Garnacho. They don't play our style of football. Cunha is worth the buy. Go and get Yumlin. Our team will be stable. I want to keep Mainu, going to be honest. I think Mainu is a serious player. That's my opinion. I would be gutted if we sold Mainu. Let's get on to the next bit of news though, bring it in. And this is the keeper situation. So it's been rumbling for a while now, and it was being said to me like a couple months into Amorim's tenure at Manchester United that he was going to want a new goalkeeper. I don't think we've got the luxury of spending on a new goalkeeper in the summer, spending much money anyway, because it's not long ago we spent 40 million on Onana, and I will stand by this, and I don't want to get into the same conversation. I think at that time, on 375 grand a week and where De Gea was at, we did need a new keeper. De Gea was best in the world at some point of his career, but I did think we needed to move on. But it was Onana that was the mistake. It's the player we signed. We shouldn't have signed Onana. He's not good enough. He's not. We should have scouted better and got someone better. We're in a situation now where I don't think Amorim fully trusts Onana, and he does want a new keeper. And this name keeps popping up, and it is James Trafford. So it's coming in from Sky, and when it's coming in from Sky, you have a little look and you think, oh, okay, there must be some substance from it. Newcastle and Manchester United remain interested in a summer deal for Burnley goalkeeper James Trafford. Rumoured to be 30 million that Burnley want for him. I mean, United can't afford that. No way on a new keeper. If we get a new keeper in the summer, which I urge us to do, by the way, I think it's going to be a situation where it's going to be somebody on the cheap that can compete with Onana and then maybe take his place. There is cheap goalkeepers that you can get in that are good goalkeepers. A lot of the goalkeepers in the Premier League would be better than Onana, to be honest with you. But there is cheap options out there that can come in. I mean, look when we went and got Romero. And Romero was the best number 2 we've ever had. I thought he should have been number 1 at some point. He was fantastic. And we didn't pay much for him. There is options out there where you can go and get a keeper that's seriously going to compete with Onana. 30 million for James Trafford with all the other positions we need to get. It's going to be a no for me. And James Trafford in general, get your comments in down below. Would you want him? Newcastle interested. They're looking at getting a keeper in. United are interested. He's 22 years old. He's probably going to be the future England goalkeeper. He's got solid potential. But I personally don't want to bring him in. I'm going to be honest. James Trafford for me is a no. I think the amount of money we'd have to pay for him is too much. Yes, I know he's had development time since then, but when I watched him at Burnley, when Burnley in the Premier League last year, I was not overly sold at all. He had a lot of mistakes in him. His distribution didn't do it for me. I mean, Onana's distribution's really poor at the moment as well. He's a decent shot stopper, but I just don't. He just doesn't do it for me for that amount of money. I think it's too much to spend on the potential that he has. I wouldn't be going for him personally. It would be a no from me. So. Yeah, there's potential there. 22 years old as a keeper, it's super young, and he might go on to be the future England goalkeeper. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. There's a lot of talk about him having massive amounts of potential. But United right now, I don't think we need to go and spend 25, 30 million on James Trafford in his current state. Like I'm saying, and I keep saying this, we need now. We don't need in a couple of years' time, in a couple of seasons' time. The number 1 shirt of, the goalkeeper position at Manchester United is one of the most scrutinised positions in world football. It weighs heavy. 22 years old coming into that, it's going to be tough. Maybe you could take it on. Maybe, Onana could pass the baton to him. But me personally, I'd be looking to go and get someone in who is super cheap and is going to come in and be readily available to start games for Manchester United and take on take on that pressure, take on that role, and has a little bit of experience under his belt. But get in the comments down below what you think. And if you are going to go for a younger keeper, you know, we've got some promising younger keepers in the academy. Eli Harrison, really promising, had a really successful loan spell. He's young. I think Eli Harrison's 19. So if you're looking at getting Trafford in, I know he's 22. I know he's a lot more experienced than Eli Harrison. But I'd be looking into our academy if you're going down that route, to be honest with you. It would be a no for me, the Harrison one. David McCarthy says, Beth, I remember you did a video of Onana or Costa and you said we should have gone for Onana. David, find me the video and link me it, because I remember this to this day. My number one in that summer where I knew De Gea was going to leave was David Raya. And everyone came for me for it. Everyone was saying David Raya's not good enough, no way. Look at where David Raya's playing now. Like, you know, he's doing super well for Arsenal. I remember that, and OG United stand viewers will know that that was the one I was going for. I didn't even bring up Onana until he got linked to us. George O'Hara says Onana. George O'Hara says Elanga in reference to his old super chat. I don't think Elanga would be doing that because he wasn't like that at the time, but they're just different players. And like not to go back over the Elanga stuff, but he wouldn't be where he's at now if he would have stayed at United. You never would know. It's the butterfly effect. Jeez, hindsight is everything. Anyway, let's get on to the next bit of news while you all go in on me in the chat for the goalkeeper's position. But I remember it. I remember it completely. And yeah, I'll still hold my hands up on the Onana stuff. I thought he was going to be way better than what he has been for us. But we need to move on. We need to get another keeper. For me, that keeper wouldn't be James Trafford. Sean Buxani says, problem is, prior to Berardo, we were bully with managers. Instead of signing players fitting one style, we're playing FM, stupid fees and contracts. We've got in a next little bit of news coming in. So this is the striker position that I wanted to bring into the conversation, and it's from Fabrizio Romano. He has said Manchester United have breaking news everyone. Manchester United have added 4 to 5 names to their striker target list and will make a decision based on budget availability. We're buying a striker in the summer? No, never. We've got more than a couple of names on our list. Well, hang on a second. This is breaking news. But we all know Manchester United are going to buy a striker, and we all know there's different options. I have come up with a list that I think is Manchester United's list, if we're referring to a list like Fabrizio Romano has. Delap, Osimhen, Ekitike, Sesko and Gyökeres. I think that's our list. We've been strongly linked to Ekitike. His name's a tongue twister. Ekitike from Frankfurt, French striker. He played with Marmoush. We've been strongly linked to Sesko for years. Delap just keeps getting linked to us with that 40 million release clause. Osimhen, we know, would join Manchester United and has got that release clause with Napoli, and he's been described as a dream target for Manchester United. And Gyökeres is always going to have that link due to Amorim. But I'm just going to quickly go through each one. Delap, I have no doubts that United are going to be all over it. He's English, he is young, so it fits the Sergeant Ratcliffe under 25 model. He's going to be cheap, and it just screams a United signing. I echo that I think he's got massive amounts of potential, but he is not the sole striker that United should be going for right now. I said it when Højlund came in, I said it when Xerxes came in, and I'll say it again. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. I said when Højlund came in, we probably needed someone with a bit more experience, but I was happy to take the risk on Rasmus Højlund. I was excited about it. I then said, don't make the same mistake of only going for a young striker, because we saw in that season, Martial was injured, Højlund did all right after he got off the mark against Aston Villa on Boxing Day, but it was obvious he needed a more experienced striker and we needed somebody else. We didn't do it. We made that mistake again. We went for a young, cheap option in Joshua Xerxes. we should have gone for an experienced striker to help Rasmus last summer. I'm not disrespecting Xerxes. I hope he does well at United, and he's shown some glimpses, especially in that number 10 role, and I think he's got potential. But he was never the solution for the goal-scoring striker that we needed to accompany Rasmus Højlund. He just wasn't, and we cheaped out on it, and we didn't go for it, and it was a mistake. For the third summer in a row, not getting in an experienced, definitive goal scorer, just pay the money. Just pay the money for someone you know is going to score you goals. We have to be sure. We have to be sure. We've done the potentials. We've done the he's young. You know, in a few years he's going to be reaching these levels. We need somebody now. I can't stress it enough. So as much, and again, ABC123 in the chat, we should have got Tony. I said it on the show. I said it over and over again. We should have got Tony, and everybody put me down for it. There was other experienced striker options we could have gone for, but anyway, it is what it is. And I don't care what anyone says about Ivan Toney going to the Saudi League. He would have scored more goals this season in that United team than both Xerxes and Rasmus Højlund. But anyway, we can't go back in time. Is what it is. People are always quick to bring up the Onana thing, but don't talk about the other stuff. With Delap, got potential, but I'm really honestly sick of the word potential. I think he will go on to do well, and I think he will sign for a Premier League club, but United need that experience in there, and he's not got that yet. He'd be someone I'd look at in a few years. He'd be someone I'd look at if we already had an experienced striker in, but to ask him to lead the line and carry the weight of that shirt on next season, we just shouldn't do it. And the only reason we would be doing it is for the price tag of 40 million. Next up, Osimhen ticks every single box for me. Every single one. Experienced, goal scorer, got the attributes for the Prem, has confidence in himself, has put up numbers, got experience of European football, played in different leagues. It suits the way Amorim wants to play. Osimhen ticks every box. And also, I think his release clause is around £62 million. That's a steal for someone of his quality, and he's at the perfect age at 27 years old. It'd be an absolute yes. There's no downside to that. Gyökeres, obviously would absolutely love him. He's tailor-made for Amorim's system. He's a proven goal-scorer in Amorim's system. Obviously got the right attitude, obviously got the right behaviours because Amorim's worked with him. However, we've got to remember with Gyökeres that Laurie Whitwell and the Athletic put out it was highly unlikely to go for him in the summer, with United targeting different strikers. The age apparently was putting them off, and the price. That doesn't make sense because he's going to be around 50, 60 million and he's 27. That's literally perfect for the skills he's got. So it never made sense, that story. But I think that was United briefing, don't get your hopes up on the striker situation. And Gyökeres, let's be honest, take your red-tinted glasses off. If you've got the choice of going to Arsenal or United in the summer, where do you go? Okay, yeah, you've got Amorim, you've got a manager that knows you at United, that knows how to get the best out of you, but you're also walking into a 13th place club that may or may not have Champions League football, and is way off in their rebuild. At Arsenal, you're walking into a starting position as a striker that they're very, very close to winning their major trophies, and they're going to definitely be playing in the Champions League. So Gyökeres is a tough one. Ekitike, I don't know as much about him. I know, again, he's potential, but it's another young player. We need to avoid young players, but did do really well with Marmoush, and Marmoush has come to City and looked really, really good. I would have to watch more of him, but I know there's good things coming out about him, but has been to previous clubs before and not really done very well. Maybe Frankfurt has just kind of got the best out of him there. Not sold. Not sold. If you told me Ekitike was our only striker signing in the summer, I wouldn't be happy with it. And then last but not least, Sesko. Again, it's a no from me. I think Sesko, again, has got potential, but I think he's been overrated by a lot of people. I don't think his hold-up play is that great. When I've watched him in international football, I think he's got a lot of work to do. Again, I think he's got a lot of potential. I think as just a ball striker, of striking a football, I think he's fantastic. He knows how to find the back of the net. But Rasmus knows how to find the back of the net. He's quite clinical as well, but he doesn't get opportunities. It's really hard for a young player coming into this team to get them opportunities and demand service and get yourself in the right positions as well. So again, Sesko would be a no from me. like I said, if we already had an Osimhen or Gyökeres or experienced player like a Watkins or an Isak or something like that, and we needed like a rotational striker and someone for the future, because you always need two. You always need two top strikers, really. I would be looking at a Sesko, I'd be looking at a Delap. But they take up, for me, the same place that Højlund has in this team. And that is our potential talent, young talent, that can go on and hopefully develop into a really good striker. But we need that really good striker now. And the only two on that list are Osimhen and Gyökeres. Gyökeres looks unlikely. Osimhen's probably the most likely, but it's going to cost you. It's going to be around 60-odd million. But by the way, yeah, 60-odd million is expensive. It's the most expensive striker on that list. But you're in a situation where you've got a really top-level striker for 60-odd million. Usually strikers go for 90, 100 mil. Like, they are top end of the market. They are the most expensive players in football. We've paid 72 million for Rasmus Højlund, bear in mind. Like, 60 million for a Gyökeres or an Osimhen, I think, is excellent business. So United, you know, get the sales done that you need to get done. If you need to sell a Garnacho, I'm sorry, we're going to have to. Rashford money coming in, and put it towards that pure profit, put it towards getting a top-level striker that's going to bag goals every week. What I'm worried that we are going to do is I'm worried we're going to, you know, sell, because I think we will sell, and then we're going to use the money and we're going to spend, you know, like 40 on Delap, we're going to spend like 30 on a 10, then we're going to spend 30 somewhere else, 30 on a goalkeeper, and it's like, honestly, as much as I do think we need multiple positions, we need a striker, you could arguably say we need 2 10s, we need a keeper, could do with a right wing back, could do with a midfielder. I would so much rather wait and hold fire, promote some players from our academy, because there is players in our academy that look strong, or do what we did with like Aiden Heaven, where we paid 1 million for a prospect and he's come in and done really well, than cheap out on certain positions and take a risk and end up in a situation where, again, you've just got like a squad of potential and they're not ready yet to hit the heights. I'd so much rather walk into next season with Acuna starting and Osimhen starting and, say, a Frimpong starting. They're your three. And then you wait on the keeper, you wait on the midfielder, and you promote a Kone, you promote an Eli Harrison. You give Bayindir a shot. I'd rather do that, because I know that Acuna and an Osimhen and a Frimpong are taking this team up levels. I know that. And that's why you pay a bit extra, but you pay it for the guarantees. And that's what I would rather Manchester United do, to be honest with you. We have a couple of chats coming in here. A lot of people talking about Jonathan David. On a free, it wouldn't be the worst thing, but again, I wouldn't want him as my only striker. I wouldn't want him as my only one. I think he's got good attributes, but I don't think he's Isak, Watkins, you know, top level strikers in the Premier League level. Ray Kyle Brown Amory says, for me, we also need someone to create chances for a striker, because we don't create enough. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm looking at a Frimpong. That's why I'm looking at Acuna. They're just names that are on the you know, top of my brain and would be my priorities, but I know there's other options out there. Rob Always United says we'll be potentially the best side in the Prem soon. Oh, honestly, the word potential genuinely haunts me. But thank you everyone for your chats coming in. A couple of people saying they'd really like to get James Trafford in, saying 30 million for a future goalkeeper for the next 15 years, says Melkert. Is he good enough to be our next keeper for the 15 years? I've not seen enough to say he is, I'm going to be honest. And then last but not least, I'll bring into the show this. And this is from a bit of a dodgy source, so I'll just take it with a pinch of salt. Apparently, Manchester United have been closely monitoring Justin Kluivert's performances for some time. The Red Devils have added their players to the transfer list as an alternative on the wing or on the offensive line. Kluivert, again, is another really good option for one of them 10 roles. Smashing it for Bournemouth. Him and Semenyo are both quality players. They're both not going to come to United. They'll be too expensive, and I think there's some other options out there that probably fit our affordability better and a bit more, you know, developed for a period of time. Kluivert is really good, 25, Prem proven. He's a good player, but he signed a long-term contract at Bournemouth, and we're just not going to pay silly money. Apparently they wanted 70 million for Semenyo as well. There's other players that I think would be higher up on my list, to be honest with you. But anyway, thank you for watching. Hit a like on the video if you haven't already. Happy Wednesday afternoon, happy hump day everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Sun's shining here in Manchester. Get in the comments down below, who would you want as your keeper replacement? What are your thoughts on the Sancho stuff? Does it worry you now going into the summer? I can't wait for more transfer news to start coming out, because that's going to be my excitement for the rest of the year, to be honest. That and the Europa League, Lyon next week. Obviously, we're going to get excited for a Manchester derby, but Lyon next week's the big one for me. We're travelling over there. I cannot wait. Our season literally rests upon that game. But thank you, everyone, for the show. Hit a like on the video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.